In today's video, what we're about to show you is completely free, but is often forgotten and not even thought of as a great thing to do when you come to London. So yes, there was Big Ben, and it's all lovely and clean, but how about this for a different angle? Yep, today we're going inside the Houses of Parliament. Now we filmed and brought you everything that we can, but it's worth bearing in mind there's a lot of areas within the Houses of Parliament where you can't take phones, can't take pictures, film, etc. So we thought we'd bring this to you. Now this is the first hall that we can bring you. And as you'll see in a second, it's completely steeped in history. This is Westminster Hall, and it's the oldest part of the Palace of Westminster, and it is still in its original form. If you want history, you need to look down for these bronze plaques on the floor. From 1535, this is where Thomas More was condemned to death. In 1965, Sir Winston Churchill laid here in state. As did Gladstone here in 1898. And it's not just Prime Ministers, kings and queens, including Her Majesty the Queen Mother, laying here in state before her funeral at Windsor Castle, and also George V and Queen Mary. Here, King Charles was sentenced to death. So if you want history, this is definitely the place to come and spend your time here in Westminster Hall. And also just look at some of this glasswork as well. The roof of the hall was commissioned back in 1393 by King Richard II. This is a hammer beam roof, and it's the largest medieval timber roof in Northern Europe. We're now going to go into St Stephen's Chapel, and as you can see it's going through renovations at the moment, but this was the House of Commons from the mid-16th century, when it was the venue for political debate and discussion at a time when Parliament was growing in power and influence. The area was destroyed by fire back in 1834, but as you can see, with the renovations that have happened since then and also the cleaning up effect, it still looks pretty good now. So it's well worth spending some time here and just having a look at some of this glass. Now I've got to remind you, yes, it's completely free to get in here, and all you need to do is to come to the Houses of Parliament when they're in operation and queue outside. Now when we got here, there was no queue and we came straight in, which is incredible. And you can see here the central lobby, which you can't film inside, but here's another angle of the central lobby as well, and you can see the TV cameras in operation happening here. That's the bright lights you can see. Right, this is the corridor that takes you to the House of Lords, and in your tour you can go to the House of Lords and the House of Commons debating chamber, sit in the galleries and watch what's going on. But if all that gets too much and you want some refreshments, how about a trip to the House of Commons cafe? Yes, there's a public cafe available as well. What's quite incredible is once you get into the House of Commons, you're pretty free to walk around as you need to, although you may get stopped by security, but you can walk around. And here it's the original walls of the Palace of Westminster, and of course the obligatory gift shop, which we've already given away a keyring, which we bought here as well. Once again, it's a real shame, but we can't bring you any video from the debating chambers. But whilst we were here, we saw some great things happening. So do have a look. If you do Google, you can see what they're actually debating in the chambers on the day that you're coming down or what's scheduled. So why not get down here to the Houses of Parliament? Don't tell them I sent you, but the only time you may have difficulty getting in is when it's Prime Minister's question time, which normally happens midday on a Wednesday when Parliament is sitting. So what did you think of the Houses of Parliament? Did you know you could get in here? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, if you fancy seeing something else that's really historic, how about a trip to Westminster Abbey, which is literally over the other side of Parliament Square? And I'll put a link to our video to that up in the top right hand corner.